All right, we are live, Nancy. Welcome to our weekly live show where we bring you success stories, insights, perspectives, and wisdom learned from mistakes to help you accelerate your growth. This week, we feature Nancy Schwartz. Nancy, an expert in health and retirement as a transformational strategist, guiding corporate executives struggling with major life changes in and around retirement. She partners up with clients to move them from chaos to clarity, envisioning and actualizing their purposeful and healthy retirement. After a 40-year corporate career, oh my God, 40-year, working across markets ranging from global multinational to early stage private equity, her innovative and solution oriented approach to solving complex issues earned her a high praise and recognition. Nancy, I'm so happy to have you here today. Welcome to the show. How are you doing?
I'm awesome because I'm speaking to you, Ken. So thank you so much for the invitation. I'm so psyched to be here. You have no idea, and to offer some ideas and tips for the audience. So,
Great.
hello, 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 kind
Thank
sir.
you. Thank you for being here, Nancy. I'm pretty sure a lot of people here will gain much wisdom and success story, learn from your success stories. Um, Now, where are you dialing in from, so that people know where you are in the world?
A New York City area. So today I'm in Connecticut,
Okay.
but the metropolitan area. Yes.
Beautiful, the beautiful Connecticut. Now, everybody loves a good success story, especially that one that's packed with wisdom that they can benefit from and walk away with, right? Now, let's take a walk down memory lane a little bit here, and tell us what were you doing prior to making the switch? During those 40 years of your corporate career,
Yeah.
long tenure.
Yeah, so a lot of decades, right? A lot of history there. So
Mm-hmm.
early life was as a classical dancer, professional. So that's kind of fun. And then I got into a little bit of investment banking and the medical world. And then really the long footprint was in executive search, right? Retained executive search. So I was with a top firm, top global consulting firm, and made partner, which is really wonderful. And so search the retained world is really interesting because, and I loved it because um, we really can impact by the quality of the person. Say we brought in a Kent to this particular company, we
Right.
would get involved when it was critical that the company have that role, right? So um, I love that part because either the company was growing or they were merging or they were developing a new product. So it wasn't, oh, well, we may or may not have this person. There was an urgency to have this person.
No.
So
Mhm.
and learning, so many different markets, right? I love that part. I love getting
Right.
very relevant. What are the competitors doing? So there's a lot of analysis that goes along with this and market feedback,
Mhm.
and whether a private company or an early stage company, right? So, and then the cross pollination, the ability to really be creative and innovative, and that's kind of what I was known for, is to bringing very out of the box candidates who just thrived in sort of a non-traditional role, right? That
Right.
either the companies would have in terms of titling, or simply, finding that gem that will just bring that company, whatever their needs are, up several to a scale they want to be at. So very competitive, highly competitive, a lot of politics. But yeah, I survived, and here I am.
I love it. I love it. And you've had 40 years, and I'm pretty sure you probably take us weeks to tell all them stories. Um,
Yes,
I'm pretty sure the audience would like to know, what are you doing today? What
yes.
were you doing before that has the affinity to what you're doing today? How do you make that transition? What was that story like? Share with us, what was that catalyst that
Mm.
of that decision making? That what were you doing before, and you're like, oh my God, light bulb went off. I made a switch to entrepreneurship because I saw something in the marketplace that really needs my expertise.
Right. So before we went live, I'll share with the audience that, Ken, when we talked about this, I just love this question. One, because it's, oh, I hate this, but it's turning from summer to fall. So
Mm.
it's really a reflective question that you're asking, for
Right.
me, in terms of, what was that catalyst? What happened? And really, I would tell you a pivotal story that I was operating in my own search firm. So I had made the transition to entrepreneurship. This was my second company, the search firm that I created, Retained Search, and I loved it. But it came a time where, I just realized that, you know, I love it, but do I really want to keep doing this? And I really felt like at that moment, and I
Mhm.
was in and around retirement age, right? In and around. I wasn't there yet, but I started, and late one night in the office, I had these thoughts wing out of left field. I'm like, I can't explain it to you, but I was saying to myself, who am I exactly? And what am I doing with my life? And, you know, the search world is on demand, meaning that you have to perform. You have meetings with clients and they expect certain things. And, now is now, right? Go time is go time, right? And I know you know that. And I was like, I don't know if I can sustain, another decade. I sort of mark my career by decades, another decade of this, right? And it also was beginning to lose appetite. I felt like I was in a role where I kept doing, I was very, very lucky, Ken. I worked with great clients, great candidates, great firms. But at the end of the day, the mechanics, the technical piece of it, I wasn't growing, right? And I felt that, and significantly, and I don't know why, but I felt that, and I felt that for whatever reason, and I don't really know, I felt that I had a bigger wingspan somehow, but I didn't know what that was, right? So I kept saying, oh, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? It's just like, I don't know. I only know retained search. This is, our vision of where we are is very, very narrow because I know what I know, but I don't know what I don't know. Right. So that sort of began the process.
Mm.
Yeah.
It's interesting because everybody goes through those phases where you've gone through a role for 2, 3, 4, 5 years around there, and you get so intimate with the process, right? With the mechanics, like you said, right? The
Mm-hmm.
tactical, the day to day, the strategy is going to be the same, but the tactical things is on repeat, is
Mm-hmm.
on autopilot, and so your body just naturally get used to it. Kind of like we're driving point A to point B, and we don't really think about it. Next thing we know, we're there, kind
Right.
of, right? It's like that, and that's when you realize there got to be something more out there that
Mm-hmm.
gets you excited every morning, get you up, and get you going and growing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly how I was as well when I was leaving working for Cisco, and I was trying to leave the corporate world behind and start something new. And that was basically the catalyst for me.
Right.
I mean, I can feel exactly what you were going through.
Yeah, yeah, and I think what I'd like to add one more thing to this
Mhm.
catalyst piece, and I think it's kind of fun, right? So it's fun to live a long life, right? So I'm thinking, well, I'm preparing for this talk with you, and I think, okay, well, when I was thinking about this, we didn't have the Great Resignation.
Mhm.
We didn't have the thing called I'm only going to do 9 to 5 and we're just going to dial in. We'll do the minimal viable product to achieve that title, that salary, etc. But I think that there's been a significant shift in the marketplace, right?
Right.
And it's interesting to see, and this is the things that people are addressing now are what I felt then, right? So I was like, wow, this is great that I can actually see it materialize, right? And become a relevant topic for many people, not just a few people, right? So that there is life outside of work, right? That there are things that are equal or more valuable, um,
Hmm.
A person's preference, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, work and life to some people there might be separate, but for me, it's one of the same. You know, your work is your life. Your life is your work. I mean, you think about it. You wake up and we wake up 8 hours. You spend sometimes 10 hours at work. You know, and
Easily, yeah,
if we don't like what we do, then that's not really life. That's not really living, right?
right.
And some people really have to go to work just because they have to, which I completely understand. They come home, they feel relaxed, but ultimately, I think the goal for everyone should be to enjoy work as much as they enjoy life. It
Yes,
should be one of the same. There shouldn't be anything different there, and
yeah.
that's the goal. Which is why you left, why I left, because we felt too mundane and uh, with the day to day, and if you don't grow, you go backwards.
Yeah, and I thought that there was a lot of politics. I'm not good with politics. I'll put that on the table. And also, there was a lot of drama and crazies. And I just said, can't do this anymore. I love the work. If we could just cut out those parts, I love the work, but I don't love all these extra tags, right? So I felt like I needed to find another avenue where I could be of service, also changing from really more of a delivery model, which is a more corporate model, to a really one-on-one, really acting as the guide for my clients who are really the heroes, right?
Okay.
Because it's their life, right?
Yep.
So yeah,
Yep. So, as the audience watching this and listening in or tuning into our conversations, one of the things that I think will benefit everyone the most is what is the mistakes that you made or mistakes we made that you'd like to share? Because mistakes and success, there are two sides of the same coin, right? There's no success without mistakes, right?
right.
So, if you don't mind, if there are any, you don't mind sharing some of those, because you've been writing the corporate world for 10 years and also you moved over to owning your own business and writing this wave out as an entrepreneur. What are those mistakes that you share so that our audience can walk away with some of these golden nuggets?
Yeah, so that's again, this is a fabulous question, and can we have no limit on mistakes. I've made
Yep.
many, 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 many. So let's keep it current,
Right.
right? So
Too many to count. Too many to count.
right, I think that failure is. I've now come to. I was always very perfectionist type of person, and it became very rigid. And the
Mm,
older I've gotten, it's more important to take. I was always good at taking chances and risks, but they were very calculated, right? Very
mhm.
calculated. But now I feel that it's really important to fail, to learn. So what? Pick yourself up. What do we learn? But as it relates to this business, I can share with you 1,000 of them, but I kind of picked my top three list, if you will,
Sure.
so that we can talk about this. So because I went in not only a different industry, which is consulting, but to the person, because we're talking about changing an individual from a
Mhm.
career execution to a life, right, execution, and what do they want to go do next, and where they can have tremendous impact, right? But we're also in terms of longevity, we're living longer, 30, 40, 50 years. So this is not like I'm going to do it for a week and then call it in. This is
Mhm.
another lifetime, right? That you're living in your lifetime, if you will. And when I went out to educate myself and learn from top global experts, I really started to think about, learning. And I'm a big learner. I love science and technology. Those are passions for me, right?
Yep.
They're constantly changing. We're upgrading. We're learning from global experts, right? But what I didn't do is I didn't realize, oh man, well, I can learn this, but if I don't implement this on myself, how can I teach this? Right? I have to see what happens. I have to be that mad scientist in the back. So
Right.
I had to make these changes physically, mentally, spiritually, right?
Right.
And because in this role that I carry, I am the brand. So I must walk, talk, and breathe and live what it is that I'm teaching and what I believe in and what my passions and purpose and beliefs and values and all of this. So that was really, I would say, maybe not a mistake, but like a realization. Like I kept learning and learning and learning and learning, but then this one day I was like, whoa, hang on, I got to implement, right? And so that's really hard, right? To do all that internal work. And as we learn, or I've learned and have found that this journey, this transformation, one little piece will change another little piece. It's sort of like project management. I'm sure in operations, you crank something, it's something else, and you have to adjust, So, again, I always say, we're back to this white paper, right? That we're building, which is our own company, which is us, the person now, right? To live this life. And
Yep.
that's the second
Hmm.
the second piece that I felt that I underestimated was this market jump that I made, this industry jump, right?
Mhm.
So to come at it from a sense of, and I'm a good relationship builder. I've always prided myself on that, and I believe businesses are built on relationships. But how much of a shift this was, and again, how narrow my focus was, right? All I knew is retained executive search, right? So I don't know anything else. So to come at this from the point of view of being a beginner, I am an absolute student,
Mhm.
right? So I think that that's really important.
Mhm.
And I did carry that strength from retained search, because a lot of these companies that we would get, we really didn't know what we didn't know until we discovered what we knew, because the market told us, right? The market told us. But now it's more, I need to figure that out, right? So I don't have a huge company around me telling me that.
Mhm.
Um, and I think it's about, um, you know again, playing full out. You find something that you really love, right? And how do you do that, right? So if you're a kid, are you going to go to the gym? Are you going to play an instrument? What are your after school activities, right? You got to test them out, right? You got to figure it out.
Yep.
Similarly, now, I can't tell you how many paths that I barked down that I thought, oh, Kent, I call you on the phone. I say, Kent, this is the most fabulous thing since sliced bread. I can't wait. I can't wait. You check in with me another 2 to 3 months down the road, and I'm like, oh, Ken, I thought I would love this, but it's good, but
Mhm.
it's not apple pie, right? It's not what I thought it would be. And
Mhm.
so it's through this trial and error, curiosity, play, exploration, right? Of always being open, and I think that comes with that beginner mindset. There are many stages of that, and then to have that play, and to what the relevance of this, what are the failures that you've had, or the misjudgments in my case, or I thought I would like this or not, but to be able to be open and say, so who cares? We're going to start again because I learned such and that, and we're going to put it together. And okay, I have another vantage point from now,
Yeah.
right? So, yeah, so lots of mistakes.
Have that beginner mindset, open mindedness
Yeah,
to be a lifelong student, right? And
yeah,
then and take the shots. Like I think what is it? Michael Jordan that says that you miss 100% of the shots if you don't take them, right?
yeah,
So you
yeah.
just take them and learn from them and be open minded, and they'll guide you through the process, right? Um,
I love that quote from Michael Jordan, because I think that he also said, I saw something else on the similar lines to this, and he said, my average was so high, right? And people are like, wow, how'd that happen? He goes, because I kept taking them, right? I kept taking
exactly.
all those shots. And I
Wow.
think that that's such a life lesson. If you can think about it, not, from basketball, yes, from basketball, but also to be inclusive in a lot of other things.
Yep.
And, again, that's playing 150% out. And that's what he did every single moment on that basketball court and in that basketball, industry and arena. And he still does it today in all his businesses and all the things that he's
Yeah.
involved in, I'm sure.
Yep. Yep. You, when you do one thing, you do everything, huh? That's just kind of
Yeah, yeah,
what.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know there are many, many young entrepreneurs out there, business owners who might just come into the space or be in it a while. What advice do you have for them in terms of, being an entrepreneur? What experience have you gone through in your own business that you can share, so that they can benefit from as a business owner?
I just want clarity, Kent. So any industry in terms of being an entrepreneur, just having that title, right? Okay,
Hmm.
cool. So, wow. Um, well, I learned a few things. I'm in some business classes, so I will pass this along.
Yep.
Um, and I think it talks about relevance, right? So it
Yep.
talks, during COVID and pandemic, I went from, a hard office, as everybody else in the world did, to online, and then trying to figure out, not only the online piece, and we did have a lot of the Zoom and all these kind of techniques, right? But then now we need the online, the marketing, the social media, all of this kind of stuff. And we didn't have that, right? We didn't have that. We had to go build it. So I think it is very much, if you are an entrepreneur, your head is down and you are firing and pushing yourself so hard and you're in the weeds, right? You are
Mhm. We
really in the
talk
weeds.
all the time, by the way, because entrepreneurs are hungry, and they
Yes.
focus, right, and they have a vision to hit. So
Exactly. But to always have, I feel like you're the little submarine with the little scope coming up, and you've always got your eyes and ears open to
Mhm.
what the rest of the market is doing to make sure that your product is viable and that it can grow in the environment that you're building it in. And I think that that's a sort of 2022 vision, if you will, in terms of viability of product line. Because oftentimes, and I would see this when in the search world too, I would go into businesses and I would say, okay, well, what's they haven't even brought the product to launch yet, and they're telling us it's a multi-gajillion dollar winner, but you have to go build it first, right? And then you have to test it, right? And test it and test it and test it. So it's the same thing of have that, follow your passion, follow your vision, follow your intuition, your genius. You are very special about whatever it is that you are building, but also have that sensitivity to keep your head up a little bit.
love it, love
Yeah.
it. Thank you for sharing that. That's incredible. Yeah, being cognizant and have that, open mindedness, and being able to observe, right, and see what's happening out there, while you're diving your head in and trying to hit and execute on your vision. I love that. Finally, Nancy, what kind of services are you offering at the moment, and how do people find you?
Well, they're finding me here with you, Kent. But
Um,
other than that, um, you can find me and my services on my website, which is envisionhealthyretirement.com. I'll say
right.
it one more time. It's envisionhealthyretirement.com. And what I do is work with business experts in and around retirement. So either you are still operating, but there's a sense of urgency. There's a succession plan, or we know there's a timed exit in some manner, or there may be a market shift. There might be an M&A or something that all of a sudden this is happening, and or those business experts who've exited. And we know that the financial market, I just again want to be very clear to the audience and to you, that the financial market is set up really for the investment side, and so are the corporations in terms of retirement. And what I teach is about you, the person, who I believe is the most important piece of the retirement equation.
Hmm.
And I want to couple that with health because I believe that if you don't have your health, you're not going to have retirement. And so that's the transformation that my absolutely gorgeous and beautiful clients experience. And everyone's unique, everyone is different,
Hmm.
right? But the act of retirement is universal, right? It expands all cultures. And the importance of health, the pivotal importance of health, uh, again, is universal.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, without health, there's no wealth, really. I
Right.
mean, like Steve Jobs, right? He built so much wealth, but
Mhm.
then he had all these health issues, and he ended up having to go early. You know, so focus on your health while building your wealth. Those are the two keys, because health is wealth. In our culture, they say your health is your wealth. Uh,
Yes, yes.
in many aspects, it's so true, right? When we
Hmm.
think about it.
Hmm.
Yeah. Well, I had a conversation with one of my closest friends the other day, and actually, uh, my mom brought it up, and she goes, there's a lot of people out there struggle to make a lot of money so they can retire, but
Mm.
through that process, they sacrifice their health, and so they accumulate all this wealth, and then they have to take that wealth and fix the health problems
Hmm.
and go back to square one in a way. Kind of, you know what I mean? So rather than trying to do that, why not enjoy and have a balance of both so that you don't have to like suffer and um, sabotage any kind of relationships or health issues, along the way while building wealth.
Yeah,
So that was
you said that so beautifully, and that's exactly what happened to me. I lost my health in the drive to build
Mhm.
my career, as many people do. It's like your moms are always right, so your mom is right, definitely.
Yeah, and that's an incredible insight for me to have that conversation with her. And I realized I've seen some my mentors, people that I looked up to in the industry and outside the industry that have gone through that, and it
Mm,
makes a whole lot of sense, right?
hmm.
So thank you for doing what you do, Nancy. Helping executives with retirement planning and having a successful retirement is a big deal. I mean, there's what 1/3 of the population in the United States are retiring what in the next 10 years, 15
Yeah,
years.
the baby boomers. Hmm.
Incredible. Like your market is massive,
Yes.
and so they're gonna be so blessed to have you in their corner as they go into retirement. So thank you for being here. Um, That's all for today's live show, folks. So if you're watching the replay or have questions, feel free to drop in the comment below and one of us will get back to you. Nancy, thank you for being here. So much for sharing all those wisdom nuggets and success stories and whatnot on the show. So thank you very much. Have a lovely weekend and we'll see you again soon.
Thank you, Kim. It's been a pleasure. Thank you. Much success to you and your team as well.
Thank you.